forward. So this is called the divide, and so I'm trying to talk to as many different people as possible that I have disagreements with, because a lot of people, typically on my side of politics as well, is saying you can't talk to this person or that person, and I don't like that. So I'm going to talk to them because I quite like talking to people who I want to talk to, and I don't like being told otherwise. So I've got Flat Earth Dave joining me. Hello.
Hey,
How are
Dave.
we?
Good, good. Looking forward to this conversation.
Me too. Yeah, this is actually just so much fun, just being back. Just before we had an audio issue, we were just about to introduce the Bitcoin challenge. What is your Bitcoin challenge?
So the Bitcoin challenge is anybody that can come up with one proof of the globe wins 3 Bitcoins. That's simple. But not to waste my time, people go, oh, let me just Google flat Earth. You Google flat Earth, Google's going to deliver you all of the propaganda that they want. You won't find the real flat Earth videos. You won't find the videos that you can watch and go, huh, I never thought about that. Let me go verify that myself, rather than just watching a video and believing it. All of the stuff that we put out there is all shadow banned, right? A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 questions, millions of views, been out for years. You search it, it's gonna come up 10 pages down if you're lucky, right? And the propaganda videos are gonna come up. So I created an app. It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And every day, right here, this little button, this little thumbnail is a new featured video. Short ones during the week, longer ones on the weekends. And I say, watch those videos every day for 3 weeks, 2 weeks, not 3 weeks, 3 Bitcoins, 2 weeks. Watch it while you're having breakfast. And then think about it. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, if you have one globe proof, send it to me and you win 3 Bitcoins. But before you do, you have to click this button, which is the frequently asked questions button. And when you do, up comes most of the questions people are going to ask. What about eclipses? What about tides? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? What about Antarctica and the 24-hour sun? If I click that, up comes a playlist of videos that YouTube won't serve you. These are all shadow banned. Okay? Why won't they let you see this? So Dave, just like you said, when someone tells me not to talk to somebody, it makes me want to look. Well, YouTube, Google is saying, don't look at these videos. We're not going to show you these videos. Search them by name. They won't come up, right? That should make you want to look. Okay? And that's how everyone, including me, becomes a flat earther. We say, flat Earth is stupid. You're a moron for even suggesting that I look. As a matter of fact, if you mention it one more time, I'm going to ban you from all my channels. You'll no longer be able to comment on my videos because you're too stupid. The Earth, of course, it's the globe. Aristophanes figured it out 2,000 years ago with his sticks and shadows, right? Seasons, sunsets. What are you, an idiot? Don't you ever watch the sunset over the ocean? There's no other way to explain that, right? But then when you're forced to look and actually look at real material, there's only one way to come out. It's on the flat Earth side. And nobody is leaving flat Earth, right? These are the people that these are just the people that have my app and have signed up for the friend finder. Okay? These are the people. Where are you located?
I would be in the UK.
You're in the UK. Let's look at the UK. Well, I can't even see the UK because it's buried with flat earthers. All right? These are flat earthers in the UK. Right? And it's just beginning, right? So these are just a small percentage of the flat earthers, because not everyone even knows I have an app, right? So when people say flat Earth is dying, flat Earth is dead, they're out of their mind. They're lost. They're believing propaganda. And as we go through this, it's going to be really fun. I know every objection you're going to make and every question you're going to ask before you ask it. Because I had the same ones. Everyone has the same ones because we were programmed. Like, how come I could drink a glass of water on an airplane and walk and go to the bathroom, right? How come it's it's sunlight? How come the 24-hour sun in the north? They're all there. How come seasons, right? It would be daylight all the time on a flat Earth. All of these questions are pre-programmed because you're not thinking. Like if I said, hey, I have $1 and change in my pocket, do I have 4 quarters? Do I have 10 dimes? Do I have another combination? Do I have 100 pennies? There's other answers out there, but they've programmed you into believing one answer. And the answer is the most ridiculous one. You Google flat Earth, you end up at the Flat Earth Society. And the Flat Earth Society says flat earthers believe that the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, right? On a disk, right? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. They want you to they want you to believe, when you think flat Earth, you think this, a pancake floating with other round planets. No flat earther thinks this. We don't even think there's other pancake planets because we don't believe in planets or pancakes or space. All right. So there we
Can I
go.
throw
That's
something in
enough.
there?
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
ranting. There's my opening statement. The floor is yours. It's your show.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I love your enthusiasm. That's what we want. So, when you say they, who's they? Who's the people that are shilling the propaganda?
Yeah. So the they is a good question, and it's it's the people that we call the elite, the royal families, the Council of Foreign Relations, the Illuminati. What is the Illuminati? It's a group of secret societies, families, bloodlines that rule this world. In America, all but one president are all related to go back to one king. Isn't that weird? Okay. And so all of these bloodlines have been ruling this world for not that long, but as long as we know, as long as our history shows us. All of our history, anything beyond 100 years ago is up in the air. It's all lies. Um, so, when you say who are they? Well, here is the power structure that we can see. The Council of Foreign Relations, United Nations, the Bilderberg Group, the Council of Rome. All of these are the round table, and these are the people, the corporation, the families that run the world. But
So
my opinion, they're all
Okay.
puppets. They're all puppets from their puppet masters that we don't even know who they are.
Okay. So this is really interesting. Okay, I do like where we're going with this. So let's strip it back and try and find out, how did you get into this? You weren't born into this, surely. There's nobody who grows up with a flat Earth family.
Well, not nobody. There are plenty of people, and flat Earth. We're told that we figured out the Earth was a globe 2,000 years ago, but in reality, they were teaching flat Earth worldwide in the mid 1900s. Mid 1900s. Okay, I interviewed a woman named Ruth, 102 years old, and back in February 2020, and she said she was taught flat Earth in school for years, and then they finally changed it, because science evolved. And I met a guy in Mexico that said in the 1950s they were taught flat Earth and globe Earth here in American public schools. Okay, because they didn't know, they were teaching both. They're like, yeah, it could be this, it could be that. We're trying to figure it out, right? And then then they put in the NASA propaganda, a whole nother rabbit hole. But how did I get into it? I guess I've always questioned things, and I had a event that happened to me when I was in kindergarten or first grade that I didn't really think about it until I became a flat earther. I said, that shaped my life, because the teacher was teaching us about gravity, and he brought us outside and got a bucket of water and swung it around on a rope and said, that's gravity. And as a little kid, I said, but if we're on a globe and the water's on the outside of the globe, wouldn't you have to turn the bucket the other way so the water's on the outside when you swing it? And the teacher goes like this, rubs his beard, goes over to the book, opens up to the page, shows the highlight. He goes, this is how I'm told to teach it. So this is how I'm going to teach it. But you keep asking questions. And I went over and played on the swing and forgot about it. And then 45 years later, I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here? So I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole about all the different conspiracies or deceptions that are happening in this world. I'm sure you're aware of some of them, all the big events. And people started in the third year, hey, have you looked into flat Earth? And as I said earlier, I just banned them from our social media for being so stupid, for even suggesting that I look at something so dumb. And then I was forced to look. And when you look and you really try to prove the globe, that's how you become a flat earther. That's how everyone becomes a flat earther. So let me ask you a question. Flat earthers have something in common. And that thing in common is we know more about the globe than the people that defend the globe. The people that knee-jerk reaction go, I know what the globe is. I know the model. If they knew the model half the amount that we do, they wouldn't be globers anymore because it's so dumb. Just a quick question for you. Don't feel pressured, because when I was asked each one of these questions, I got them all wrong. So if you get them all wrong, you tied with me. How fast is the Earth spinning at the equator?
Absolutely no idea.
1,000 miles per hour. That's faster than the speed of sound. How fast is it orbiting the sun? No idea. 66,600 miles an hour. A very funny number in the heliocentric model. There's lots of 666s. Okay. It's chasing the sun at almost a 500,000 miles per hour. So we're corkscrewing through space, traveling 4.4 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. But tonight, if you go out, take a photo of the stars at a certain time, then the next year, same time, same night, go out, take a photo, every star will be in the exact same place. How is that possible if we live in this beehive solar system, galaxy, and none of the stars ever change? They're fixed in their position. That there alone should seal the deal for you. But let's just put these speeds into context. Here's the hypersonic sled track. See it go by? Mach 8.6, 8.6 times the speed of sound. Watch it again. You have to believe that you live on a rock that's surrounded by water, that's surrounded by air, adjacent to a void, scientifically impossible, spinning, corkscrewing through space, going around the sun 10 times faster than this, chasing the sun 100 times faster than this in elliptical patterns. Elliptical, which means you're not going on a tangential straight line, you're curving, which is acceleration. And we go out into nature and we could see lakes like this. And because of the brainwashing, we're like, well, that's gravity. We're going into constant motion. When you're in an airplane, I could drink water. I could walk to the bathroom. I say, if you want to compare an airplane to the slowest motion of those four motions, which is the spin of the earth, you have to double the speed of the airplane. You have to remove the outer shell of the airplane because there's no outer shell over the earth. And you have to have the pilot nosedive down fast as a free fall skydiver just to maintain the curve of the earth. I don't think you can drink your water in that situation. Common sense, God-given common sense tells us that this is not moving. Nonsense says it's screwing through a vacuum in Narnia.
It's very pretty. I wanted to get onto that because some people are religious within Flat Earth, some are not.
Some people are religious everywhere. No matter, you get 100 people together, there's going to be a whole bunch of Christians. There's going to be a whole mix of religions in there.
So were you religious before you got into Flat Earth? Oh, first of all, which year did you get into Flat Earth?
2014, 2015.
Okay, so you were religious before 2014.
I wasn't religious or am religious now.
Really?
Yeah. What is religion?
What you just said.
What did I just say?
So we're making a distinction between an organized religion and deism.
Oh, okay. Like so when I said your God-given common sense, let's use a non polarizing word. Your natural common sense. Do you have common sense? Go do me a favor, stand up, turn around, and run into that wall as fast as you can without putting your hands in front of your face. Will you do that, please? Do it right now. It'd be really good for the show.
It would actually be genuinely amazing for the show.
It'd be amazing. You'd bounce off, you'd have a bloody nose, and you're not going to do it. Why? Because I told you it would be great for the show. It'd be hysterical. That's good. We like good for the show. We like funny. But you have some naturally occurring common sense. You know that wall is going to destroy your face. Okay? So
sure.
So you ignored what I told you and used your common sense. You can't ignore this. You're told that you live in a space vacuum, a void, no pressure in space. Not like a vacuum sucking air, no pressure. We live in a pressurized system. Nowhere in science, nowhere in nature, nowhere, anywhere, no experiment ever can have high pressure next to a lower pressure, let alone a void of no pressure, without a physical container.
Okay, so again, I'm not necessarily here to sort of prove your claim or prove you wrong. I genuinely want to try and understand your perspective from your own words. I'm not here to tell you you're wrong. I'm not here to tell you that you're stupid. I definitely wanted to bring up the religion thing because sometimes there are like bits of there's notes that you sent across saying there's 200 passages in the Bible that support flat Earth. I didn't know whether that was a particularly important thing for you to latch onto, or
yeah. So there's lots of people that is important to, but if you're a non-Bible believer, like many people are, pointing out anything in the Bible as a proof of anything is pointless. But no matter what your belief is, actual physical science is the nature, is the language of our world. It is a universal, for lack of a better word, language. Okay. So, I can show you that, you have one apple and I give you another apple. Now you have two apples, as long as I actually gave them to you. That's, math. That's physical math, right? But if I said right now, you have $1 million in the bank, if I doubled it each day for the next 3 days, how much would you have tomorrow? You have $1 million in the bank. I double
more
it.
Than I have now.
Well, if you have $1 million in the bank, you double it. Tomorrow you have 2 million. The next day you have 4 million. And the next day you have 8 million. So I can conclude, according to the way they do astronomy, that you have $8 million in the bank. I have a bad piece of data, right? All of the calculations they use, like the distance of the sun, they determine that by Venus, which is the same size as Earth, transiting the sun. They did the start and stop times from different locations. They did some really good calculus, excellent, perfect, math, and they figured out the sun was 93 million miles away. The problem with that is they assumed Venus was the same size as Earth. I say Venus is the size of a yoga ball. Okay. You can't prove me wrong. You can't prove me right. You can't prove them right. Right. We don't know unless you can physically touch it. But I'm getting back to this in the app under the web section. There's biblical flat Earth videos. Now, if you are a Bible believer, you need to watch these videos. If you think the Bible is stupid, you need to watch these videos. If you don't believe in the Bible, you're not religious in any fact, you need to watch these videos because they're amazing. I'm not going to say they're going to prove anything. They're going to go, wow, the Bible is a flat Earth book. Does that make the Earth flat? Absolutely not, if you don't believe in the Bible, right? But it shows that the Bible is a flat Earth book, okay? I have a lot of problems with the Bible, okay? But it's an interesting thing. I never lead with it, ever. But I could show you all of these things, scientifically prove that we couldn't see the stars, and then say, oh, it's also in the Bible.
So what I really like to get into is epistemology. Do you know what that is?
I've heard the word. What is it?
Yeah, it's our reasons for believing something. So the belief itself, I'm not particularly fussed on. People get caught up on the actual belief. I like to know why people believe what they believe, the reasons behind it, kind of thing. So this is why I ask about the Bible, because some people use that as their reason, and that could be taken down in like a Bogosian sort of way.
Right. Belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is easy.
Is the enemy of knowing.
Did I tell you where I live? All right. How about this? I believe you're in the UK. Do I know it? I don't know it. You told me. I believe it. Seem like an honest guy. Can't think of a reason that you would lie about that. You sound like you're from the UK, but it's a belief. Until I look you up, maybe I find you on Facebook, find a bunch of your friends, find out what high school you went to. Yeah, he's in the UK. Okay. Then I know. But people like yourself, like I used to, believe the earth is a globe. When someone says, can you give me a reason? Can you give me one reason? It's worth three Bitcoins. Can you give me one reason? So the epistemology of globe earth, yeah, fascinating. Why do you believe in the globe? Besides, a guy in a white lab coat told me that boats go over the horizon.
Yeah, it would come down to a similar reason to what you said, which is senses and trying to just make personal observations, not particularly trusting any particular individual or authority,
right?
Instead, just looking at what I can observe.
So let's just take it this way for a moment, if you don't mind. Give me something that might make you think the earth is a globe, and then let me address it.
I guess the first thing would be the boats over the horizon example.
So the way the horizon works, when you look out at the sky, you got some white fluffy clouds spread out there if they're not chemtrailing. The ones over your head are directly over your head, but the ones 20 miles away merge with the horizon. right? The sky and the land come together and they kind of meet at what looks like your eye level, right? That's how this.
So I
That's
can
how.
see out the window now. Yeah.
Yeah, and so
Carry on.
everything just comes closer and closer together. So when you look down a road that has a bunch of streetlights on it, high streetlights, the one above your head is high and it's up there, but the one down the road is over there, kind of at my eye level. But you know in your mind that that the streetlights are at the same level, but the perspective makes it look a little different. So I'll just show you real quick. Streetlights. So these streetlights are all at the same level. You know that in your mind. You see the poles, but they look like they're going down, kind of like the sun looks like it's going down, right? It's kind of doing the same thing. So is the sun just going farther and farther away? So back to the boats. All right. So
I would initially say they're over two different distances, but you
I'm showing you that the perspective, whatever scale perspective, does the same thing. So we'll get into that. So here's the horizon. And when we zoom in, we're just increasing the angular size. And as we increase the angular size, all of a sudden we go, oh, look, there's a boat there. I didn't see that boat before. So I'm going to zoom all the way in. You see these little waves here? These waves in the foreground are going to hide the boat. They're going to hide the boat from the bottom up because these waves are bigger in the foreground and it hides the boat. Its angular size gets too small and it disappears. This boat should be hidden behind the curve of the earth, but it's not. It's just out of your view. And as I zoom in, watch, the boat will just appear when its angular size gets big enough. And there it is. Okay? There it is. And it comes into view. And that's how we think the boats go over the horizon. That's how we believe it, because that's what we were brainwashed into seeing. Like if my face was the boat or a city skyline or a mountain, my finger can't hide my face, right? If I was a little wave, but if that wave was way closer to you, it could hide the bottom half of my face.
So in that case, how would you zoom in?
Just zooming in.
When you zooming in on the finger.
No, it's because you're zooming in past that wave and you're zooming in, making it bigger. And these are the experiments that you can do yourself, as you know, to show you how things in the distance get smaller, things in the foreground get bigger. And then there's also other stuff. There's atmosphere. The thickest atmosphere is right on the surface, and sometimes that blocks it. And then sometimes there's the atmosphere. There's the waves, and then just the distances. All of these things contribute to making things disappear. Right here is this is.
Did I refine my example, by the way?
What?
So for the boat example. So the very specific example I was thinking of was when I've crossed the channel from Dover to Calais, from England to France, and I can see land on that side, no land. And then when I get to the middle, I can see both land. And then when I get to France, I can see France, but not England.
Yeah, and the answer for that is the conditions over the water. So here is a non-tidal bay, and we have a time lapse going. And if you watch the beach, not only will the beach disappear, these buildings will disappear. All right. And this is because of atmospheric conditions, right? This water isn't going up and down. This is just how we see, right? These buildings completely disappear. And if you were there for that moment in time and look, I can't see it. But to go to that exact same spot halfway across the channel on another day, you're like, I do see it from here. Maybe I'm not in the same spot, and then no one does that. Nobody goes to the same spot at the same time every day looking and seeing if they can see the same thing. It changes all the time. It changes all the time.
I'm just seeing something I don't know what, whether it's an island in the distance. There's just like a very dark bit on the lower.
Look at these buildings. These buildings compress into nothing, right? And it changes throughout the day. It changes every day, but you don't see in time lapse. People don't stand there for 12 hours and stare at something to see if it changes. They look at it for a moment and go, oh, that's curvature. There is no curvature. We've done thousands of tests at this point. And if you go in my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, which you can find at flatearthdave.com, But if you go to the web button, scroll down to experiments, this channel here has done tons of experiments showing you how we can see way too far. See, document all the conditions, everything. We can see way, way too far. But again, these are videos that YouTube is telling you don't watch these videos. Don't watch these videos. They're telling you, Dave, don't look at this. Kind of try to suck you in a little bit.
Yeah, it is a paid app. Just want to throw that out there.
It's what?
Is it a paid
Peter,
app? $2, something like that?
No. Wait, say that again.
Is it? I thought it was a paid $2 app or something like that.
Oh, the app is $3. The app.
Okay.
So
yeah, I wanted to clarify that.
Full disclosure. Yeah. The app was everyone loved it. It was a $3 app, but then I started adding features that actually cost me money. So those extra features are for a subscription. You don't need them. Okay. The extra features are you get a weather app, you get to send messages in the friend finder. You get the friend finder, but you get to send messages in the friend finder. And you get to view and fill out profile information if you want to use it as a dating app, which a lot of people do, or just to a friend finder. But that's $11 a year. You bought me a margarita and then you get it for the year. Okay. So you don't have to subscribe, but if you love the app and you want to support the app, sure, subscribe. But you don't need it. All the stuff I'm showing you today, you don't need the subscription for any of it. So it's only $3 one time. Go read the reviews if you're unsure, and then you'll end up getting it. So
awesome. I very quickly wanted to try and go through some of your other claims that you sent across, because some of them are very interesting to me.
What I sent
and pertain to me. So as I'm very interested in. I'm going to throw two claims out there straight away. So I've
one at a time.
Oh dear, running out of time.
Oh, is this a timed Skype meeting? Why don't we?
No, it shouldn't be.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
you're not signed in or something. Up with that. Why don't we? Why don't we? Want me to send you an untimed link and then we'll just splice them together?
You know what? We can pause here and then just go out of this and straight back in again. It'll be exactly the same number. It's and same login.
Okay. Well, let's go for 9 more minutes and then we'll do it.
Okay. Sweet. Sure.
Okay.
That's all right.
Okay. All right. Hit me with your comments.
I'll cut this bit out of the thing anyway. So yeah.
Okay.
The claim that I've heard Shakespeare never existed before, but I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, it was a group of authors put together to mold history. All of the stories that were told, we're told about all these astronomers and Newton and all of these historical men, and there's really no proof that any of them existed. There's evidence that they're all Freemasons. Well, maybe they existed, but their stories are made up. Like the story of Aristophanes with his sticks and shadows, that's made up. It was never published anywhere until the mid 1900s. Wait a minute. It did it 2,000 years ago. He figured out the shape of the earth and no one ever published it. Other mathematicians coming out of the same area wrote books and never mentioned the Michael Jordan of math. It's crazy. It's insane. So nobody believed the earth is a globe, right? The Antikythera mechanism. Do you know what that is?
No idea.
It was off of Greece, off of the island of Antikythera. Some divers found this weird thing, and then they got it on an X-ray machine, an MRI machine, and they recreated it. And it's a device that predicts all the eclipses and the positions of some of the planets throughout time. And it shows that the eclipses happen in a cycle of about 18 years. Okay, how could this crazy beehive heliocentric nonsense ever repeat? It could never repeat. The idea that the sun and the moon could eclipse each other, right? One being 400 times bigger and 400 times farther, so they look like they're the same size. The idea that they could eclipse each other just once is so astronomically so low, it probably could never happen, but it happens again and again every year. And after 18 years, the whole cycle happens again and again. Our world, what we see in the sky, is a perfect clock. It's not a beehive, gravitational beehive. All right, so go ahead. Off track there. Back to your question.
No, that's absolutely fine. It's fascinating to learn about all these different ideas, and it's certainly history is very fascinating. I haven't really looked into it too much. I did study things like Stalin's communist Russia and all of that, and it does sort of resonate a little bit with me, but it's probably the way it was taught to me. But anyway, so this is the claim that really sort of stuck out for me. Stevie Wonder's not blind.
Well, now we're getting off of flat Earth.
Yeah,
I don't know. Like I would be fun to go up in front of him and stick a shotgun in his face and tell him, see if he notices. But there's a whole bunch of videos where somebody like tossed a mic and he grabbed it, reflex. He grabbed it out of thin air. Okay. I don't know, but if you ask me, I'd bet I would bet. I'd even give you odds that he's not blind, if there was a way to prove it. Why not? I mean, come on. You're a musician.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, and it's hard to find the videos right now, but there's a whole bunch. Like when I first heard it, I was like, that is crazy. That's crazy. But then I saw a couple videos where he reacts and he, recognizes people and just weird, like, this guy's full of it. Maybe he's like 90% blind, who knows? Caught a microphone, caught it,
So.
Tossed it, he caught it.
I definitely have to see that video. I'm very interested in trying to find that video.
See if you can find it. Go ahead,
so
next.
There's the two more claims before I end up going into something else. And one of my cousins is definitely going to end up watching this. So this one's for him. Commercial planes don't use gas.
So that's a bold statement. I believe that commercial airliners use a lot less than they're telling us, right? The one thing is, do you have JetBlue over there? JetBlue Airlines, or is that an American thing? That's an American thing.
It might be an American.
JetBlue Airlines is one of the most popular airlines, and they pride themselves on fast turnarounds. Plane comes in, they unload it, they load it, and they're out in minutes. Okay, very, very fast. Well, how the hell are they fueling these planes up? The amount of fuel that they say that they use, which doesn't make any sense. There's no way that they could pump that much fuel into the plane in that amount of time. And never on an airport runway, at these major airports where they're filling jumbo jets, do you smell or see fuel, right? Yeah, it's coming up from under the ground, but there'd be drips and drops. And when they fill up a tank, where's all that air, those fumes going? Okay. People say, well, they have fume captures. You can make up all the stories you want. But, I was in Costa Rica. My plane came in from New York. I watched it land, unload. They loaded us. They never even bothered to hook up a fuel tank to it. I'm like, So they fueled up in New York, and the people say, well, the fuel's cheaper in New York. They filled it up there. None of that makes any sense. Okay. So yeah, small planes use fuel. The big new planes like the Airbus 380, I got a huge issue. Next time you're on a plane, close your eyes, listen to them start the engines, listen to the engines go, right? They're electric. Okay. They're using electricity. They use free energy technology.
Turn them off?
Oh yeah, they turn them off. Absolutely. And when you hear this,
I've never thought about it.
Never are you hearing a bad piston. I don't even know if they use pistons or how it works. But I think if they say they use a gallon a minute, maybe they use a friggin' ounce a minute. Okay, and they mix it with the air because you can combust air. Put a little tiny drop of fuel in that air, it's even more combustible. All I know is they're lying about how much fuel these big planes use. And the reason, and before we go to the next, before we restart, people say, well, why would they do that? And the reason is the same reason they got rid of airships, rigid inflatables, because if you had an airplane that didn't need fuel, people might fund together, get an airplane and go explore where they're not supposed to explore, like the outer lands.
So yeah, my cousin's going to find that fascinating because basically all of my family have worked at airports in various different ways. So
don't get me wrong.
Make of that.
There's fuel at airports and there is fuel on airplanes. Don't get me wrong there. They're just
you made that clear. That's fine.
The amount of fuel that they put in an Airbus 380 is like 18 truckloads of fuel, right? You ever look at one of those trucks unload fuel at a gas station? It takes like 45 minutes to unload one of them through a thing this big, right? You ever fill up a swimming pool? A truck comes with a swimming pool. It takes forever to fill the pool. How are they pumping all of that fuel in the plane in seconds and minutes? Doesn't make any sense. And if you watch those wings, if someone gets on the wings, it literally, they're flexible wings, right? Put what's that? How many pounds? I forget the number. It's ridiculous. Put that in the wings. They should pull down. They don't. They just stay there. They float.
Just before we sort of have to restart,
stoplookthink.com, and then go to the drop-down menu on hoaxes and find jet fuel hoax. There's a bunch of videos there. Go make up your own mind. I think it's to say that they don't use any fuel, I think that's a bold statement.
I was going to say, I went to I think it was the Boeing factory, the biggest factory in the world, whichever it is in Washington, so Northwest.
Yeah.
It's pretty big. It's pretty big. You see the planes from start to finish, and it's a really fascinating journey of, they do explain some of the testing. I won't know off the top of my head any of it, but perfect. There was one more claim that I wanted to get to, and it does affect me because I am a sports coach, soccer coach. So you made the claim that the Coriolis effect doesn't affect soccer players. So what is that effect, and how does it pertain to sports?
So Coriolis is the claim that because of the Earth's spin, when something leaves the ground, the Earth spins out from underneath it. And that's why storms in the north and storms in the south spin in opposite directions. That's why they say. But there's plenty of times where a storm will cross the tropics and spin in the wrong direction, which gets rid of the Coriolis thing. They tell us that snipers' bullets, the sniper has to adjust for Coriolis. They have to literally follow the hook, know how long it's going to be in the air, know what direction. No sniper ever finds their target miles away and then moves their aim to the side or changes their aim. They don't hook bullets. They shoot them straight. Coriolis is a made-up force because of the spinning ball. It doesn't make any sense because when you look at it, it makes no sense. The Earth is spinning at different speeds depending on how far you are from the center. If this was the top half of the northern hemisphere of the globe, the equator is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, but it's spinning much slower when you're closer to the north. So how would a plane, a bullet, a hot air balloon, a jet, whatever, how would it adjust for these speeds? It's flying into faster and faster spinning ground below it. The Earth doesn't curve out from underneath it. Okay. When this is a balloon shot from 120,000 feet, the Earth is spinning 1,000 miles an hour below me. This balloon should land thousands of miles to the west. But in reality, when they shoot something up, it lands like the about the Red Bull jump.
Yeah.
Felix. Felix Baumgartner.
Baumgartner,
right? Baumgartner,
yeah.
Something like that. He went up and he's like, I saw the curve of the Earth, and they show this huge curve right here. But then we look at this, we look at all the details of this land, and we find out this is New Mexico. This is just one small state in the United States. I didn't know that it covered that much of the globe. This is clearly a fisheye lens, right? So he landed east of where he's looking. Now, the Earth is spinning to the west, right? No, it's spinning to the east. The Earth is spinning. So the Earth is spinning to the east, right? So the Earth is spinning to the east. So he went up. He should have landed to the east, but he didn't. He landed to the east. The Earth is spinning to the east. He should have landed out here in the middle of the ocean, but he didn't. He went up for 3 hours, 3.5 hours, I think, and he landed in the middle of the ocean. Makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And if you take that curve and continue the line, how big is this Earth, right? It makes no sense. And the other thing is, as you go up higher, the farther you look out, the Earth should start dropping down. Okay? This is what it looks like on a flat Earth. This is what it looks like on a globe Earth. But when Felix got into his capsule, the mounted camera behind his head, which was not fisheye, showed the horizon right here. And at 127,000 feet, the horizon's at the same level. Okay?
I mean, it's not a clear photo, to be fair. He's in the way.
It is, but it's not. But when you compare them, so this is the flat horizon, right? And here it is, 127,000 feet. You should see a little more drop than that. Okay. Pretty damn close. 127,000 feet. The drop should be massive. Massive. And the other problem is when you go up really high, the farther you can see, the more stuff blocks your view, right? The more the atmosphere blocks your view. And when the atmosphere blocks your view, you can't see that far, right? It'll just become opaque. And that opaqueness looks like sky, so it looks like your horizon's closer. Okay. So for example, let me show you this. Where is it? What was I going to show you? No, that's not it. I'll show you this first, and then I'll find the other one. So here we think this is the horizon. We're out here looking out, and out there 175 miles from this viewing spot is Mount Canigou. But if you do the curvature calculation, the globe curvature calculation, from this viewing height at that distance, the top of Mount Canigou should be hidden over a half a mile below the curve of the Earth, right? Well, you can't see Mount Canigou, so maybe the Earth is curved. But the sun migrates in between the two tropics every year, 6 months out, 6 months in, right? And it goes back and forth, and twice a year it lines up with the viewer and Mount Canigou. And when it does, it helps us see something. The light that's bouncing off of Mount Canigou from the sun isn't strong enough to push all the way through the atmosphere because it just gets lost. It's not bright enough, but the sun is the brightest object in the sky. And when it goes beyond Mount Canigou, all of a sudden you can see Mount Canigou. And this top of Mount Canigou right there should be more than a half a mile below the curve. Not a mirage blocking the sun, but the sun is outlining it, and the sun's light is bright enough to push all the way through. And here's Mount Canigou. This proves one of two things: that the Earth is either 1,000 times bigger than they tell us, that's a problem, or it's flat.
Yeah, I've never actually sat down and done the specific maths before, but I have heard that it is the mirage. What would you say to that?
Common sense. Go run into the wall. The wall's not really there. It's a mirage. Okay. This is blocking the sun. It's not a mirage. The Glober argument is this: that the sun and Mount Canigou are over the physical curve and they're magically refracting up, stopping at eye level. Isn't it always crazy? It's amazing that it always stops right at eye level. So here's the problem, right? Here's a camera at 1 foot off the ground. The horizon at 1 foot away should be 1.22 miles away. This oil rig is 9.4 miles away. At 9.4 miles from 1 foot off the ground, the curvature is 59 feet. 59 feet of curvature that should be blocking this thing. But not only can we see the water all the way up to the rig, we can see the water for dozens of miles beyond the rig. So you would have to believe that the water beyond the rig, which is curving down, ramps up all of it. Each farther piece ramps up a little farther, a little farther, a little farther, and they all ramp up to the eye level and they stop there. And then the water in front of here from 1.2 miles to 9.4 miles, it also ramps up and stops. And then the rig also lifts up and stops, and everything lines up like it's magically on a horizontal plane, or it's all on a horizontal plane.
So my initial thought is looking at the oil rig. It's going all the way down through the ocean, right? So what point do we say?
I can see the water. I can see the water surface beyond it. If you can see the water surface, there's no curvature, because the water is where the curvature would happen. There should be, when water curves, here's curved water. And as my fingernail boat moves beyond that curve, it disappears behind the horizon. You can no longer see the water where my finger is touching. You can no longer see it because it's behind a physical curve. Behind a physical curve. But that's not where we live. We don't live on a ball.
Again, I'm not trying to prove you right or wrong here. I'm just trying to have my like first thoughts. So with the finger on the globe example, that you just traveled thousands of miles with your
Well,
finger. And
they tell us that the Earth is too big for us to notice, but they want us to believe that things go over the horizon. They want us to believe that there's a 6-foot drop at 3 miles. When with my naked eye, let alone our today's optics, I can see things way beyond that. Way beyond that. I can zoom in on a beach 7 miles away, sitting at the water's edge, and see other people sitting at the water's edge. That's impossible. So right here, the back of this deck looks, the back of this boat, the whole deck looks like it's underwater. Okay, if I zoom out, this thing looks like it's sitting on the horizon because you can't even notice all of this water beyond it. Okay, we know that this isn't behind the Earth's curve; it's behind a wave, right? And I call it the wave front edge. All of the waves, they line up and then they block all of the other waves. The reason they block the other waves, a 2-foot wave a couple miles away from me can block 20-foot waves 20 miles or 30 miles away from me, because those 20-foot waves are tiny in comparison to how I see a 2-foot wave. So it creates a false horizon. There's a million videos, boats over the curve, in the app. Watch those videos, and then you'll be like, wow, I was never taught that in school. I never thought about it that way. And then you'll know. Don't just believe. You got to look, and then you got to understand, and then you'll know.
Okay, so I have a test. Okay, it's a 5-minute test. It's going to involve some sort of Q&A, very short answers, and it's not necessarily about any particular claim. It's more to do with logic and how we think. Are you willing to take the test?
Sounds like fun.
Awesome. Okay, so the first step is to I mean, technically, the first step is to pick a claim. We know what your claim is, right? So we don't need to discuss that. But what would be your confidence level in the claim at the minute for flat Earth? Scale of 1 to 100.
I am 100% sure that the Earth is not a rock ball. It's not a ball floating in infinite space. It's not a sphere floating in space.
Okay. Would you? So that's 100% that it's not a sphere. Is that
right? Yes.
The claim?
Yes.
But is it? Are you 100% that it is flat?
Well, what is flat? What do you mean by flat?
As in by your own definition of being called flat Earth, Dave.
Well, it's a level plane. The Earth has hills, valleys, and mountains and trenches. But water, large bodies of water at rest, are testably, scientifically, measurably, provably, repeatably, provably flat. So yes, the Earth is a level plane.
Okay. That's fine.
The Earth that we live on is a level plane, and the ball floating in infinite Narnia space is scientifically provably impossible.
Okay, so this should last 5 minutes. It is sort of a rapid fire Q&A. So let's go for it. We are sat across from one another at a dining table in my billiards room, complete with a bar, a pool table, a bookcase, and a roaring fireplace. Okay, I get up, I walk over to the bar and ask you, what's your poison? Meaning, which drink would you like?
Are we drinking alcohol?
Any drink you like.
I would like an Arnold Palmer.
Excellent. After fumbling around behind the bar and a few broken glasses later, I hand you a pint of Guinness and join you at the dinner table. In front of us is a red bag containing 10 red marbles. I take one marble out of the bag. What color is it?
Did you say 10 red marbles?
I did.
Okay. So what color is it, the bag or the marble?
The marble. Quite right. I should be more clear. Okay. I open my hand.
I'm so sorry. I was a little just like, why did you give me a Guinness? I ordered an Arnold Palmer, so that's why I wasn't sure what you said.
That's absolutely fine.
Go ahead.
I can be more clear. So, what color is the marble?
You said there's 10 red marbles. If that's what you said, then there's a it's a red marble.
Okay. I open my hand and reveal a blue marble. What color are the other 9 marbles?
Well, you told me they're red. I would have a belief that they were red when you told me, but now that you're showing me a blue marble, which I didn't see before. You didn't show me that it was red when it came out. So you showed me a blue marble. So now my belief is very questionable. Now I think you're lying to me. So I have no idea what color the marbles are in the bag.
That's absolutely fine. There's technically no right or wrong answers as well. So it's just a bit of fun. Bit of fun. So I fold the bag inside out and show you that the bag is empty. I then look over towards the fireplace and see a green bag on the carpet with a green marble next to it. Where did the green marble come from?
Somebody put it there. Somebody put it there. Somebody, or maybe an animal or anybody, it got there because some physical living being put it there.
You're basically on the right track because you're thinking logically and naturally, and that's brilliant. So I walk over and pick up the green marble. I turn to the fireplace and place both the blue and the green marble inside of a glass jar that's sitting on top of the mantelpiece full of multiple coloured marbles. How many marbles are in the glass jar?
I didn't see the glass jar. You didn't tell me how many were in there, so I know there's 2 or more. But you said filled with multiple colored marbles, so I could assume there was already at least 2 in there, but that's an assumption. And since you lied to me about the color of the marbles at the beginning, I don't really believe anything you're saying. So, if there, I could say that there's 2 if I saw you put 2 in there.
That's absolutely fine. So I don't think there is an even number of marbles. I'll say that again. I don't think there is an even number of marbles in the jar. Do I think there is an odd number of marbles in the jar?
So you're the one that told me there is multiple colored marbles in the jar. You don't think that there's an even number. So that makes you, that would make me conclude that, well, you know that there was at least 1 marble. Now that you don't think means that there's more marbles than you can count at a glance. So the answer would be you don't think it's an odd number, which would lead you to more believe. I don't know if you would claim it. You don't think, but there might be an even number. That's how I'll word it.
It's okay. I take the jar and bring it to the table so we can count them. We find 99 marbles and put them back in the jar. How many marbles are there?
You find 99 marbles in the jar, and then you put them all back in. There's 99 marbles in the jar.
Unsatisfied with that answer, you decide to look for the 100th marble. We recount the marbles and find 99 marbles. How many marbles are there?
99.
Frustrated with our lack of a satisfying answer, we conclude that the glass jar does not contain the 100th marble. Would it be beneficial to search for new information outside of the places we have already looked?
What are we looking for?
The 100th marble that we believe exists.
Oh, so we believe there's a 100th marble. What evidence do we have that there's a 100th marble? What makes you believe that?
So the question is, would it be beneficial to search for new information outside of the places we have already looked?
I mean, if you think that there might be more marbles somewhere, sure, go look. But if you don't find them, that doesn't mean that there's no more marbles. It means that you didn't find another marble. And if you found another marble, that means now you have 100. There might be more marbles. You should still go looking.
Okay, you look down at your feet and find an orange marble fell on the floor next to you. You pick it up and add it to the glass jar. How many marbles are there?
So a marble fell on the floor near my foot. We'd already looked. I would assume that we would have looked on the floor. And now there's another marble. Maybe it fell out of the jar. If it did, there's only 99 marbles. If it didn't, now there's 100. If we're unsure if it fell out of the jar, we have to recount the marbles in the jar.
So to clarify, we did not check the floor before.
I don't know.
We just checked. We kept counting the jar and kept checking the jar, and we didn't look on the floor.
Well, you said, should we look for more marbles? I don't remember if we looked or not. If you counted them and put them back in carefully without dropping one, if you found one on the floor, I would say, hey, how did that get there? We have to recount the jar. So yeah, it could have come from the jar. Came from somewhere.
It's absolutely fine. So we count them and we find 100 marbles. We put them all out in a grid of 10 by 10 and we found 100 marbles. So we're both satisfied that we have found a nice round number of marbles. We take our drinks and we head over to the pool table. I flip a coin to decide who goes first. Heads, I win. Tails, you lose. Okay, heads or tails?
Funny. Welcome to 1972.
That was 21 years before I was born.
Yeah, well, that's when that joke was made up.
Okay, I flip the coin anyway. Heads or tails?
Why am I picking heads or tails? Just to see which it is, or do I win or lose?
No, this is just who breaks, who starts the game.
Okay, you flip it. I pick heads.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've won there, so I win the toss and have decided to break.
Okay, go ahead. So it was tails. Go ahead.
I smash the ball so hard that the cue ball jumps through the air and flies down the corridor. As I chase after the cue ball, you lean against the bookcase and a book is flipped to reveal a secret entrance. You follow the steps down into my secret lair, and at the bottom, you find the red marble. How many marbles are there?
The red marble. Now, my short-term memory, at the beginning, you pulled a red marble out of the bag, right?
I pulled a blue marble out of the bag.
You pulled a blue marble out of the bag.
Red.
You told me it was red. So yeah, so you found a red marble. I don't know. That could be a totally new marble. If you think it fell out of the jar, we got to count the jar again.
Yep. So we can count the jar, and we had 100. We've now found a red marble that wasn't there before. How many marbles are there?
There's 101.
Perfect. So this is penultimate question. If you have already found a satisfying answer to a question, can we be absolutely certain that we have found the right answer?
No, you always check. You always look for other explanations. You know, hey, we found 101 marbles. Does that mean there's no more marbles? No, that means we found 101 marbles. There might be another 101 marbles out there, and we don't know. I mean, so yeah. So if you the way science works is when you believe something, when you found something that appears to be true, you keep trying to disprove it. Try to find more evidence that can counter it. That's science.
So this is exactly the point of the test. As far as I'm concerned, you've passed the billiard hall test. Well done. But there is one more question.
Go ahead.
So given what we now know, can you be 100% certain of your claim?
My claim is that we don't live on a ball floating through space. 100%. If you ask me the construct of the flat Earth, nobody knows, but it is a level plane. And yes, we can be confident that it's level because everything points to that. Everything. And then, the physics that we have, you have to change the whole physics of the world. The global belief is you believe there's a rock that has water stuck to the outside, that has air stuck to the water, that's spinning adjacent to a vacuum, to a void. That's scientifically impossible, right? They want us to believe. You look up at the stars, they're all about the same brightness. Well, wait a minute. Betelgeuse is 1,000,000 times bigger than our sun. And then there's other stars that are 1,000,000 times bigger than Betelgeuse. So all these stars are all different sizes of massive, like unfathomable. You can't even fathom the size of the sun, 186,000 miles across, right? You can't even fathom that, right? But the other stars make our sun look like a microscopic speck of dust, right? But somehow, just like our sun is 400 times farther than the moon, therefore they look at the same size, all of the stars have sorted themselves out in distance from us, so they all look the same size. Okay? What? That makes no sense at all. That's insanity, right? If Betelgeuse is 1,000,000 times bigger than our sun, for I forget the exact number, it has to be a and if we can also prove that our sun at 8 times the distance is too small to see. Well, Betelgeuse would have to be 1,000,000 times farther than that, and a little closer just so we can see it. All of these distances make no sense. You can't see. Here, I'll give you a little logic test. See if you can follow this. Okay. In the heliocentric system, if our sun was a yoga ball, how big is the Earth? In comparison.
Well,
Tiny.
compared to a yoga ball?
Tiny. It would be like a BB or a marble. Like it would be like a red marble, a blue marble. Okay?
Yeah.
Blue marble. It would be small. So imagine it was noon and you went outside, the sun is directly above you, and I moved our huge sun to 1 mile over your head. When you look up, what would you see?
Probably a very big sun.
It would fill the entire sky. It would fill the sky
Yeah.
from horizon to horizon. Now, I'm going to move it 93 million miles away where they tell us it is, and it gets to be the size of a coin held at arm's length, just like we see it. Why did it get smaller?
Because it's now further away.
Right. Further away, gets smaller. Bam. Goes all the way out, becomes the size of a coin. If I doubled that distance, how much smaller would it get? It went from horizon to horizon to the size of a coin. If I doubled the distance, how much smaller would it get?
I'm not sure if it does half, but that's the sort of where we're leading.
So there's two answers.
Yeah.
There's two answers. One, some people say it would be half.
It gets smaller.
Some people say it would be half. I say it gets too small to see. But you know what? Let's give the globe the benefit. Let's say it's half. So now it's twice as far. Let's double that. 4 times as far. How much smaller would it get? Pretty small, right? You think you can see it at 4 times the distance?
Probably.
Probably not. How about 8 times the distance?
I mean, yeah, I'd still be able to see it.
Why? It went from the entire sky the size of a coin. I moved it 8 times farther, and you still think? Okay, here's another issue with that. There's a thing called the inverse square law of light. Every time you double the distance to a light, it's 1/4 of the brightness. Could you imagine the sun twice as bright as it is? You can't. Nobody can. It's too bright. Okay, so when I move the sun twice the distance away, it's 1/4 of the brightness. And then I double it again to 4 times, it's 1/16 of the brightness. And I double it again to 8 times the distance, it's 1/64 of the brightness. You see the problem we're starting to have? It's getting dimmer, and it's scientifically provably its angular size is too small. If you do the math on the angular size, it's too small for our eye to resolve. So 8 times as far the sun is. They tell us the sun is 8 light minutes away. So if it was 8 times as far, it would be 64 light minutes. We'll call it a light hour. At a light hour away, the size is too small. It's 1/64 of the brightness. I don't know how that would be so dim. Okay, so sit tight. I can't move the sun 8 times farther away to prove it, but let's look at something else they tell us. You ever look up and see the North Star? It's right off the Big Dipper. Our Polaris, our North Star, it's a normal star in the sky, right? They tell us Polaris is 48 times bigger than our sun. Okay, so let's bring Polaris over to Earth. We'll move it 48 times farther than the light hour that we just moved the sun to make it the same brightness. Well, forget the brightness. Make it the same angular size. Just like we move the sun 400 times farther than the moon, they look like they're the same size. We'll move Polaris 48 times farther. So 48 light hours away. Polaris will be the same size as the sun. I say you couldn't see either one of them. Okay, you with me?
Right. Yeah, I'm still with you.
So 48 times farther away, that's 2 light days. What if we made Polaris 4 light days away? Woo! Could you see it? Absolutely not. What if we made it 400 light days away? They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. Your brain should have just melted. You can't calculate those numbers. It's absolute insanity. The brightness that Polaris would have to be like 16 trillion times brighter than the sun. Forget the number. I just made up that number because I haven't even done the math. If you double every time
neither have I.
every time you cut the distance to a light in half, it's 4 times brighter. Okay. Right. It would be hundreds of millions of times brighter than our sun. And it would have to be trillions of times bigger than our sun for us to see it at that distance. None of the math works. None of it works. It's absolute insanity. And the other problem is just think about brightness. If you had a little LED light and you put it in a little box and you got a light meter and measured the wall of that box, it says, okay, it's 1 lumen. Cool. Now you put it in a box maybe this big and you put it in there and you put a light meter on the wall. It's like, whoa, and now it's a 16th of a lumen. Interesting. And then you take it out of that box and you put it in your living room, bedroom, whatever. And you measure the wall. It's like barely showing up on the wall, but it's there. Then you go into a gymnasium. And then you go into a stadium. Okay? And you're measuring. The light just spreads out and then it disappears. It's like sound. If you were a mile away, you wouldn't hear me because the voice just spreads out and then it's inaudible. Light spreads out, thins out, and it's visually unseeable. Okay? All of the stars that we see are right here within the Earth system. They're all fixed in their position, as we can prove. Go out and take a picture tonight. Put a note in your calendar to go look at that picture next year, same night, same time, and compare it. Explain that in the beehive universe. Makes no sense. No sense whatsoever. And then when we look, right, the sun is not the physical object that we think. This is weird. What is going on here? Is that sun 93 million miles away? What is going on here?
I can only assume the cloud's moving.
It's in between the clouds. There's clouds behind it, clouds in front of it. It's right here.
Oh, I sorry. I'm wondering what claim you were making there. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not making any claims, honestly.
Sorry.
I'm saying that this isn't 93 million miles away. This is a local light. And there was a bunch of conditions that showed us where the sun is. It's right here.
Honestly,
right?
Dave, I think we could go for hours.
We could. We're gonna wrap it up. So listen. Here's the challenge I have for you. Get my app. Watch the daily video. Just one video a day. Just one a day. And what's going to happen is, after you're done watching a video, you might let the next one play because it's not a Google selected video. It's an app selected video. And then you'll watch another one. Then you'll click the archive button and you'll start watching all of the older videos. And then you'll email me and go, what the hell did you do to my life, Dave? You blew up my podcast. That kid is all I can think about now. Okay. And then you're going to find out more information here. And then you're going to go on the friend finder and go, I need to talk to some other blue dots that are near me. I need to find some other people near me. I need to talk to somebody in real life. And then you can message them. And you'll have a new best friend.
I was going to say that I'd leave you with the last word, but then it would be impossible not to. So have you got any other promos that you want to throw out there?
If you have a podcast and you want to have me on and have this discussion, just go to flatearthdave.com. The app is there. It's the best way to find the app if you're on Android. It's called the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. But Android already has a fake one out there by the controllers that want you to get their app, and it feeds you horrible information. So if you get that, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks because it's not my app. You can go on there's all sorts of free information on my site. There's the crash course, which is a whole list of movies. Watch the first 3, you're toast. You're finished. Globe is over. Okay? But here's one thing. As you're researching Flat Earth, you're going to, all of a sudden, at one point, you're going to go, okay, the Earth isn't a globe. You're going to watch some more. And then you're going to go tell your loved ones, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, kids, and they're all going to tell you you're crazy. Don't do that. Wait until you have enough information to defend your position. Don't tell anyone, but nobody ever listens. Because once they see it, they can't wait to tell somebody about it. Right? And then when you really get into it, in the friend finder, if you click this button up here, which will be different for everybody, these are levels of number of referrals. You have a custom referral number. You can put, it gives you a default one, but you can click, you can change it once to your name or whatever you want. And anytime someone downloads the app, you tell them, hey, put in my referral number, and it kind of keeps track, which this will be worth something eventually. But it basically, I look at these points, these number of referrals, as karma points. You unplug somebody from the matrix.
How many have you got?
I have 10,570. But
Crikey.
yeah, but don't worry about that. That doesn't matter. That I actually have more. On the app, there's 72,000, almost 73,000. This number right here, that are on the friend finder, and most of them are because of me. So that number, actually, I was just testing out the referral system, so I faked that number. Just so you know, full disclosure. So it also helps people, like when people are like, hey, you can click on somebody and you can click on their profile, you can send them a message, I can have mine set for 50 kilometers. So at 50 kilometers, if I hit this button over here, I can send out a group message to 434 people. Hey, I'm having a meetup at Joe's Bar and Grill Saturday, 4 p.m. And everybody shows up. And you have new best friends. You have new significant others. People are already getting married because of this app. People have had babies because they've met other blue dots near them, right? And so it's a really useful app. It's $3. It's $11 if you want to use the send messages on the friend finder. And soon, right now, you can receive messages on the friend finder, but with the new much faster, much more dynamic messaging system, you will not be able to read messages unless you're a subscriber. And again, I'm not hitting you up for $11 a month, $3 a month. I'm hitting you up for $11 a year. Just look at it like you bought me a margarita, okay? Right? Because the friend finder costs thousands of dollars a month to run. So many thousands. So there you go.
Awesome.
FlatEarthDave.com. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
That's absolutely fine. It's been an absolute pleasure, and it's been very interesting talking to you. As I said, it could go for hours and hours, but in Fred, we have other things to get on with. So I hope that you have a wonderful day. Maybe we could speak again sometime.
All right.
But until next time, this has been The Divide.